$364 million. That's how much federal prosecutors say that three men, including one from Towson, were able to scheme over hundreds of people in an apparent Ponzi scheme. WMAR 2 News' Skylar Henry looked over all the charging documents and learned the men were spending money on some pretty high-ticket items like luxury boats and mansions, just to name a few, right, Skylar?
Yeah, Kelly, the men were driving rare European sports cars, buying millions of dollars worth of property and jewelry across the country, and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on diamonds. Now, for their alleged crimes, the men could face more than 260 years in federal prison. The feds say a tip within the last year is what triggered them into this setup. U.S. Attorney Robert Hur says 54-year-old Jay Ledford, 28-year-old Cameron Jezierski, and 53-year-old Kevin Merrill are all indicted on charges of conspiracy, wire fraud, identity theft, and money laundering.
Yesterday, federal prosecutors, FBI agents, and our SEC partners together interrupted an ongoing fraud scheme that was still going on, with the potential to victimize even more people.
The 14-count indictment claims the men would trick investors into joining them in purchasing consumer debt portfolios, promising significant profits. Instead, they used the money to pay off earlier investors and splurge on themselves for high-ticket luxury items like this Bugatti Veyron or these multi-million-dollar homes across the country, including 5 right here in Baltimore County.
We allege that in reality this was a fraud and that the defendants used a web of lies, fabricated documents, and forged signatures in an elaborate scheme to entice investors and continue the fraud.
Feds say the more than 400 victims range from lawyers and doctors to professional athletes in Maryland, D.C., Vegas, and parts of Texas. A series of lying and deceit that federal agents say could have impacted hundreds more.
There were, as I said, lies being told to prospective investors about almost every conceivable aspect of the scheme. And I think it is also important to note that, as set forth in the indictment, there were rather extraordinary steps, including identity theft, being undertaken by the defendants in order to fool those victim investors.
The feds say their highest priority right now is to recover as much of the money and assets they can to return back to those fraud victims. But they say, as with any other dealings with money, it's important to do your homework before putting your cash in someone else's hands. Kelly?